This is Reality Dispatch by Jim Mins.
Mark was awoken by the call on his hotel landline at 5:43 a.m. He was told to suit up in his blues and stripes and present at the airstrip by 8 a.m. He waited in the airport lounge for the next 8 hours without any update from his clients. He assured them he would charge a premium for this unscheduled interruption to his day. This information did not faze them, and so he sat as comfortably as he could while scrolling endlessly through his phone. When the time came to prep the jet, he eventually boarded it with Richard, his company pilot. Everything was standard about their approach. There was one exception. There was to be no flight manifest. He sat in the cockpit, and they discussed the weather while Richard checked the paper charts. "You know, the radar works perfectly fine," Mark said in jest. Richard giggled. They had co-piloted many times over the years, and Mark was aware of Richard's fondness for paper over real time. It was an idiosyncrasy that could not be explained, but his skill, calm demeanor, and track record of flight after flight without incident allowed Mark to place his utmost faith in his partner. Today was to be a flight like any other, only it wasn't. There was a secrecy that guarded their movements that unnerved Mark. He had flown privately for years and had been known to accept business from government agencies before, but he had never not been given a flight manifest. "Who do you think we're carrying?" he asked Richard. "Sunak," Richard replied. "The Prime Minister." Richard shrugged. They had been given their coordinates 20 minutes before they took their seats. They were to fly to Bangkok before transferring to a small United States Commonwealth, almost outpost known as Saipan. "You ever been to Saipan before?" "I've never even heard the place." The airstrip soon became crowded as town car after SUV approached from the gates and onto the blacktop. A door opened, and police officers revealed themselves in dark sunglasses and earpieces. "Someone important," Richard commented, as the men watched on from their windows. Out the back door emerged someone with paper white hair slicked back. He had a dress shirt on and was wearing jeans. He was flanked by the armed guards and proceeded to the rear of the plane, presumably to board first. The men heard his footsteps up the stairwell as he arrived inside. Gwen, the in-flight senior crew leader, was there to greet the man. They heard her welcoming his arrival. "Right this way, Mr. Assange," she said warmly. They presumed she escorted him to the business class seats situated at the front of the cabin. "No one has called me Mr. in a long time," the guest commented back. Mark turned to Richard. "Did you hear that?" "No." "Mr. Assange?" "What is this? A prison break?" Their conversation was interrupted by a knock at the cockpit door. They opened to Gwen, who had a look of confidence making them feel at ease. "The party has arrived. We're ready." "Is that Julian Assange?" Mark asked her. "It is," she confirmed. "Is everything okay?" he wondered. Gwen gave one look out over the cabin and turned back to the company pilots. "I think so," she said. Mark ignited the engines. "Are we breaking this bloke out of prison?" he asked. She observed the cabin again and turned back to the pilots, drawing in a breath. "I don't think so. I just hope we don't get shot down mid-flight." As they were talking, Richard held up his phone to the New York Times, indicating on the front page the breaking news of which had just walked onto their aircraft. Mr. Assange had indeed agreed to a plea deal and was on his way to be sentenced. The dawning of the transportation realized on the men. "Good enough for me," the captain said as he drew the intercom to address his guests.
For more stories of fact-based fiction, head to jimmins.substack.com.